live stream session with Phrankleen. If you're watching these as a playback, well done. If this is your first time, thank you for stopping by. This is Say Like It Is, where we talk about eclectic topics. People send me their stories to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. If the story resonates with me, I convert it to a live stream session like this one or pre-recorded content. So if you want to send me your stories, you can do the same to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. Look in the description below and feel free to send me your stories. If you send me stories that have to do with you, I'll definitely make you anonymous so you don't have to worry about your identity being disclosed, all right? What's going on, people? Let's see who is in line. Excuse me. Yeah, if you can hear me, you can see me, do hit the like button so we can gain traction. Yeah, welcome. Tuju Brunch. Is a brunch a brunch? What's up, man? Am I okay? I'm good, thanks. I'm fantastic. How are you? Greetings from Wales. Great to have you here. So, yeah. Welcome to story time. Somebody said you look dull, bro. No, I don't. I'm not dull. No, I don't. I'm absolutely fine. I'm absolutely fine. There's nothing dull about me. I'm absolutely fine. No, I don't sound sick. I'm all right. Where are you seeing all this nonsense, man? I sound sick. I look dull. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely fine. Okay. Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome. Eurofinance hangover, man. No, I didn't. It's unfortunately that the whole thing about England, you know, the usual what's called, man, the racism and ill treatment of the black, footballers and stuff. I might talk about that, later on in the week, but there are no surprises for me. It's the usual stuff in the West, you know. The penalties didn't turn out in England's favor, and they jumped on the footballers and all sorts of ill treatment. But hey, let's talk about today's topic. So this story came through by someone who, what's it called now? They said that their parents, siphoning their funds and basically maltreating them and using their funds to take care of their siblings who appear to be their parents' favorite child. Now, before we crack on, I'll just say a couple of things. Study shows 74% of moms and 70% of dads have preferential treatment towards one child, at least. The truth is, deep down, majority of parents do have a favorite child. But it's all well and good. It's all well and good, but we're going to talk about the lasting impact of favoritism and, the damage these can cause. So the background to this story is this person says they traveled to the States, the usual immigrant type of life. Life abroad. So they came to the States, didn't have much, struggled, working 2-3 jobs and everything, and supporting and be their parents have a blatant disregard for them. They never appreciate their efforts. And what tends to happen is you realize that they take your funds, they siphon this person's funds to take care of the child that they deem to be favorite. And that child is back home with them, who's actually, one can actually describe as a bum, as non-productive, sit on their hands. So this is quite prevalent, and I must say that these favoritism and stuff is not limited to the black not limited to the black community. So it's a global problem, but we're coming at it from, within our community and stuff. Now, the thing is, it's a prevalent problem if we talk about it from within our community. So these person, it's a very common thing where you see some of these parents, and there's so many reasons why parents choose or do have a favorite child. Sometimes it might stem from the fact that just the child looks like them, right? It starts from just because the child is a child that just looks like, daddy the most. Maybe just because they're a girl, the only girl out of like maybe 4 children or 2 children, or being the last born, or just being the last born and stuff like that. And it could be because of the child's nature, whereby the parents have to do a lot less in terms of interacting with the child or raising the child. When raising children, or you have children have all sorts of different how do you say now, nature, attitude, and stuff like that. So they might even just prefer this child because, according to them, this child didn't give me headache in terms of raising them. And then parents, knowingly or unknowingly, bond in an extra manner with that particular child, and they favor that child. But we're going to look at the lasting damage. The lasting damage. Most parents would normally deny and say, "Oh no, I don't have a favorite child." But it's very common. If people have 2 children, there's always one they would prefer. If they have 3, they would prefer one. There's always one that they favor more than the other ones. Okay, and the thing is, as the other ones grow, and because they're not stupid, their brains are fully functioning. They can see your behavioral pattern as parents. They can tell. They can see how you favor the other ones more than, and particularly if I come at these from the point of view of people people live abroad and things like that. There's plenty of stories where people they basically, some parents, it might be maybe you're the firstborn, you manage to travel abroad. There's always that bum in the family. Maybe that child that failed to complete their studies, evidently not doing anything substantive with their life. You, that's abroad, that's working hard, breaking your back and stuff, and there is nothing that the favorite child can or will ever do wrong. So they will keep taking your funds, siphoning your funds, even in extreme situations, lie to you, they manipulate you, take your money, do whatever they can to basically cater for their selfish interest. And what do I mean by that? They would go around in circles, and when everything comes full circle, it's basically to cater to the interest of that favorite child. It's common in a lot of families where you will find you might be the first child or who's gone abroad. You might even be the last born or the middle child, and you realize that the firstborn, who's maybe the first son, it might even be your mother's favorite stuff. They are not doing anything with their life. They've partly completed their education because, according to them, all their professors at uni are useless. They didn't finish their studies. He has managed to get 2 girls pregnant. He's in his 40s. You are just in your late 20s or whatever. And your mom will carry on, maybe conspire with your father and taking your funds in a dubious manner to cater to, the older child, who would then in turn take that money, your resources, throw it down the drain. If you try to talk back, they will shut you down. And like I say, favoritism, they do have lasting, negative psychological impact. And it happens a lot. I remember there was a gentleman that sent me, something the other time that when he was growing up with his younger brother, he said the younger brother was well known even within the family and wider family circuit for being a kleptomaniac, steals a lot, and misbehave and lies and does all sorts of things. But their parents, particularly the mom, would always cover up for him. Even when you blatantly catch him doing something wrong, mom would always jump out of the woodworks to, cover up for him, get in a defensive mode and things like that. And these are the gentlemen who has done well for himself, finds himself being sidestepped, pushed to the side. They don't ask about his welfare and things like that. Now, when, if I've heard cases where people who are already adults, they've tried to sit their parents down and challenge them for the, clear, obvious favoritism and what they regard as unfair treatment. But some of these parents would normally, they disregard. I don't think it's fair, but it's very common. It's very, very common. So how do you deal with this? If you look in our community, again, it's not limited to our community, but I'm looking at it from the angle of the black community. It's quite prevalent. So there's nothing you can do if you're an adult, especially if maybe you live abroad and stuff, and it's obvious you have rock solid evidence that your parents, they're basically manipulating you, taking advantage of your resources to what? Raise your younger ones, whilst pushing you to the curb. Don't let them. It's one of the things that I've been talking about. You're gonna learn to say no, rather than being caught up in that emotional cycle. Some of you, I understand, but don't if you're upset that your mom treats your sister, your sister who is who's got a baby by 2 random men, who's not doing anything substantive with her life, who you're sending money to and misusing it, who jumps into the car that you bought in Africa, driving it up and down and stuff. Your parents would always, back her, cover up for her, let her get away with ill treatment. Just put an end to it. Stop making your funds available for those people. Let me look at some of the comments. Any person that experienced favoritism from a parent, please cut the parent off because the toxicity is terrible. Yeah, there's always a lifelong, it's a sibling type of rivalry. Unfortunately, but I think the best way is remove yourself from it. Let me see. Some of these kids that are favorites of their mom, if you do DNA on them, they probably might be the odd one out. Well, you may be right, but sometimes they're just your siblings, and it's just the parents. And sometimes the reason some of these parents also play the game of favoritism. They like these type of divide and conquer rule. They pitch you against them, yourselves, so that they can use that to cater to their selfish interest. It's also a known fact. Some parents are very dubious. They profit of the fact that you and your siblings are not in good terms. Some parents do that intentionally. Some mothers do that intentionally. So they run to this one, and they're actually the ones that will sow the seed of discord. They run to this one and say, this is what this one is doing. This is what she said about you, blah, 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 blah. They run to that one and say, this is what they kind of drop the mines between the grenade in the midst of both, all of you, just to mess with you psychologically. And as long as they can manipulate, play that chess game successfully and get what they want and stuff, they don't care about Ojuale, the future. They just carry on doing that. My mama is like that, very true. She knows I don't have time. My father's favorite child never show up at the hospital. Guess who was there? Me. Yeah, sadly, that happens a lot. If you can hear me, you can see me, smash the like button. Sometimes the preferential treatment is because the parent is trying to overcompensate for something in the past, or they felt like they messed up with the other child. Not necessarily. That may be, but that can be a justifiable reason to leave cracks, within your children. Favorites are those who always say yes. Yeah, thank you, Ghana lady. That's another point. That's what I said earlier. The favorite child sometimes are the ones. The reason why some parents prefer the favorite child or choose a favorite child is if you are the type of child who is a nonconformist. Let's be clear. Being a nonconformist doesn't necessarily mean, you are maybe you are spiteful, you are evil towards your parents. No. Sometimes because of the way you're just naturally wired, you are the type of child that you indulge in critical thinking, you challenge your thought process, you don't operate in a conventional manner. You are definitely not going to be a parent's favorite, because every time you challenge them in an African setting, if one of the conventional or default setting of raising children, go and check it in most African homes. If you, at some point in your life, you start to challenge religiosity, for example, you start to challenge some of the so-called, it's our culture, it's the way of doing things. You start to ask questions. However meekly spoken you are, however nicely spoken, so you start to ask questions about Jesus. You start to tell them you don't believe in sky God and all that. They don't tend to like it. They will give you every name in the book. So some of them, they develop resentment towards you for those reasons. Just because you challenge their thought process and you dare to think outside the box, that will be your lifelong wrongdoing to some of your parents. That's why sometimes I've heard the story of where someone's father, cut them off whatever he wanted to pass on as a form of inheritance because the lady stopped going to church. And then the other child or children that wouldn't say no to daddy would do exactly as told, where the beneficiaries of whatever daddy wants to pass on. And if you're strong-willed, you can easily decline, your father's or mother's inheritance and find your way in life. Doesn't make you a bad person. Sometimes they use the so-called inheritance as a control mechanism. And the moment they realize that you caught onto that fact and you're not playing ball, they will more than likely push you to the curb. Real favoritism has nothing to do with saying yes. I've seen children that say yes to everything and are still not favorites. Some parents just like the child that is most useless. Like I said, when it comes to favoritism, it's multifaceted, okay? There are various reasons why children, but like I said, yes men, even in the wider context of the society, when you're a yes man or a yes woman, yes man in the sense that you say yes, you're very easily manipulated, you can be controlled easily. People like that. Do you understand me? Because you can be easily manipulated and pushed from A to B. People that say no are non-conformists are usually less popular. It's like it's a default setting. But if we're looking at it from the parental point of view, it's the same thing. If you're not a yes man to your parents, that's why I'm making it clear. Not being a yes man doesn't necessarily mean you're an obnoxious person, doesn't necessarily mean you're rude. No, you're a non-conformist. They can't easily manipulate or control you. You become less favorable. My mother is like that. And she knows I don't care. She calls me black sheep, still don't care. They love the gullible one they can control, of course. Gender-based favoritism as well. The only male last born, for example. Yes, gender-based. It might be, because she's the only daughter, you know. And the truth is, if you notice, most parents, they're always in denial. They would deny and deny and deny and say, oh, no, I don't have a favorite child. But of course, it's obvious. And the children can see it. They can see it. So for the ones, I'm coming at it from the story, couple of stories that I received. It's very obvious it happens a lot. So you find yourself that, in fact, say you live abroad and stuff and you got siblings, and even if you live in the same country, your mom, your dad, they conspire with a favorite child. They would take your resources. Say, I'm giving an example now. You live in the UK, your siblings are back home. If your younger brother or sister is the favorite child, right? Very easily, your mom and dad or your mom will conspire. They will syphon your funds. They will manipulate you 99.9% of the time. They will take your money. They will take your resources. I've seen situations where mothers or parents have stolen lands that belong to a particular child, and they will use it to set up the other child. They will literally steal your assets. They will hijack what belongs to you and give it to the other child. They do that. If your mother hates your father, it's a wrap. She plots against you. I have two, one of each sex, and I don't have a favorite because they're both so different personally, and I love that. Jules, that's great. I've never been the favorite child, and I would never be. Don't subject your self-worth to people's preference. I like that. People will always choose who they want around them. Yep. That's a very good point. Muddy water, of course. It's a prevalent problem. It's very, again, this story ties into what I've been saying. If you discover, what would be my remedy? Phrankleen, how would you suggest I deal with this? The moment you're an adult now, and I understand the emotional side of things, it hurts. Especially if you grew up in a household where you can see it's obvious. All the handwritings are on the wall. It's evidences are there that your mother, your dad, or whatever, your parents, they prefer a certain child. They treat you, less favorably and stuff. The psychological and emotional damage, they can be lifelong. They hurt. They go really deep. Some parents are so bad that even when they pass away, it also becomes obvious in the will. When they dissect the inheritance, they favor one child than the other, or a couple of children than the other, right? So it's it happens. The only way is you got to gain control of your emotions, and the moment you know that, just look after yourself. The ones I'm banging on about is especially for those that live abroad. And you know that your mother would lie through her teeth just to cover up for your brother. Whatever your brother does, your mother will always cover up. They will hijack your money. You have a land somewhere. I heard the story of whereby a particular mom, say the older one was living abroad. He bought a parcel of land, 2 plots of land, and he gave the land documents to his mom back home to hold for him, right? People do that a lot. Now, the mom did not seek his permission. The mom didn't ask him. The mom didn't discuss. She just took the land, gave it to the younger one, who started using it for farming, set up a poultry business, put cages of chickens on there, literally using the land and making money, built a farm on the older brother's land with the complete knowledge of the mom. Do you see what I'm saying? And then suddenly the older one travels back home, realizes a giant poultry had been built on his land, and all hell broke loose and stuff. And the parents stood up, and they covered up for the younger one, and said, oh, do you not want your younger one to do well in life? At least you're over there. He's just trying to make a headway in life. They do all those things and subject you to emotional blackmail. Some people would say, what would you do at that point? From the story I remember, the guy kicked his younger brother off the land. It became a legal battle. He set, lawyers on them, and the younger brother had to vacate the land with a short notice, remove all the chickens, and clear the farms and stuff. I understand that left a major crack in the family because the parents fully turned against him, called him selfish. I'll do the same, man. That's straight violation. In a place where there are no preconceived notions, there's no favoritism, there's no conspiracy. If a younger brother just genuinely wants to maybe have some kind of access to the brother's land or borrow it or kind of have a lease, and why can't you just ask the owner of the land, the true owner of the land, hey bro, is it okay if I do some farming on your land? And then we can have a discussion. If I feel like it, I may have plans for my land. That's why I bought it. And then your parents hijacking your asset to cater to the selfish interest of the other child. So this happens a lot. Let's see. This is my mom, always sending money to my brother when he makes irresponsible decisions, and always tells us not to tell our dad, even begging me to help him as well. She would never cover up for me. Yeah, that happens a lot, man. Do you believe skin color affects favorite child, Phrankleen? I don't. Skin color. I don't know. If skin color plays in, it could be parents who are crazy about maybe because a child is light skinned. That's crazy. I've never heard of that one. Colorism. Well, because, yeah. What? I can see how colorism can play, maybe in a family where a particular daughter is light skinned, in a particular, society where there is this ridiculous emphasis on, because her daughter is light skinned, maybe her sister is dark skinned. Yeah. Some parents who have warped mentality might favor the girl who is light skinned, because the society, or this toxic way of reasoning, that because she's light skinned, she's a lot more sorted after, and a lot more, by potential suitors or men or something like that. And then they treat the other one who's got a darker hue or skin shade as less favorable. It's ridiculous, but yes, I can see that happening. I can see that happening. For example, a light-skinned daughter is deemed socially preferable than the dark-skinned. Yes, I agree. Somebody said Igbo people prefer light-skinned people. It's ridiculous, man. I agree with that. Parents favor one child affects the sibling relationship for life and long after the parents are gone. Yes, absolutely. There are families where, like I said earlier, the siblings don't get along. And when you trace it back, it's because of the, unfortunately, the evil seeds that were sown by the parents. It could be a joint action. It could be the mother, right? So it's right from when there is, even I've seen situations where a younger sibling was blatantly disrespectful to the older sibling, And instead of the mom or dad or both of them calling out the younger sibling and say, apologize to your brother or your sister, for so and so behavior, bring an end to it, bring both parties to the table and shut it down. Some of these parents will actually be the ones backing the illicit actions of the younger ones. And they do that also as a means of, you see, it's all psychological game here. It's a means of also weaponizing that situation, unbeknown to the younger one. The younger one will see themselves as being favored. But what tends to happen is they use it as a hidden control mechanism against the younger one, whilst it appears in the front end that they are favoring, the younger one, if that makes sense. There's layers to this. Some parents, they prefer the division between or amongst their children so they can use that to manipulate and carry and control it. When we ask my mom why she's like that, she blatantly says it's because my sibling gave her money. I have a dark-skinned Igbo friend who became very resentful of her mom because her mother would verbally abuse her about her skin tone. Brother is light-skinned like mom and she's dark like her dad. If you have a mother that's dragging you through hell, subjecting you to trauma and emotional abuse because of your natural skin tone, I'm sorry, that's not a mom. You need to cut off that mom. That's not a mom. She's shown you her cards. She's shown you how dreadful of a human being she is. Carrying on looking for validation from those type of people, carrying on wanting to please dreadful human beings like that would only just push you, to a point of no return at some point and damage you emotionally. You need to cut them off. Let me see some of your comments. My mom is the oldest, but has to fight for her birthright from a younger sister who is lighter skinned, who is a favorite child and favorite older sister. It's sad. Not just Igbos, some tribes in Africa prefer light-skinned children. Yep. Indians are huge in that. I've heard stories from dark-skinned Indians who say their parents treat them different. So, you see what I'm saying? It's crazy. Color preference does exist in family and it's sad. Not good, as they are all black children from the same. Yeah, it's terrible. Again, those type of parents, they are simply products of, I say partly colonial damage, if we're talking about colorism, and they are products of colonial damage, toxic societal conditioning, which they have then, used as a template of operation within the confines of their own family with regards to, raising their own children and relating. It's really, really deadly. I can't imagine, treat my children differently because one of them is light-skinned and the other is not, and all of that nonsense. It's just ridiculous. And unfortunately, my mother will lie when you confront her on favoritism. Of course, like I said earlier, one of the best things that parents can do, if it's maybe a honest mistake, you get carried away. If you get challenged by children, especially grown-ups, if they have these well-detailed observation over a period of time, I think it's only fair the parents listen and you hear them out. And but the truth is, will these parents ever change? Will they change? Will they? You understand? Will they ever change? Let me see your comment. Jamaicans used to say, anything too black, no good. That's ridiculous, man. Black and proud. Here in America, they're different here, and I love Bollywood. Mine never looked after us except my younger sister. Now, mom have a gut to say she could have strangled us when we were young. She doesn't get a penny from me. Social grant is enough for her. That's terrible, man. How can a mom say, I could have strangled you when you were young? That's just absolutely ridiculous. Oh yeah, yeah. Colonized mindset. Yeah, colorism is real even in Nigeria. Absolutely semi nuts. It's colorism is prevalent. It's the reason why people bleach. It's the reason why people bleach. It's the societal conditioning emanates from racism. It's a you know generation long generations long type of problem. It's it's a colonial damage that's destroyed the mindset of our people. If you look on social media, and I'm talking about Nigeria now, look at a lot of these Nollywood actresses. If they're not acting, if they're not making money off their acting, and most of them develop businesses whereby it's nice to have other streams of income, but a lot of them, they're busy selling bleaching creams. They have absolutely destroyed the best layers of their skin. Look at me, man. Look at me, absolutely melanated, black man. Look at my skin. I can't imagine for the life of me in my lifetime putting anything on these to damage this beautiful black skin. But unfortunately, people's mindset have been absolutely shattered. And when you have people, who are they're gatekeepers of these colonial mindset, selling product, especially the young girls and boys, that they look at themselves in the mirror like this, and what I look like, and they think they're not good enough. And what they do is they have to apply cream because they think light skin is better. It's sad. It's sad. Phrankleen just basically told everyone he's a fine boy. Oh yeah, man. I am my own number one fan. I'm handsome, I'm good looking in my own right. Self-love, man. Self-love is crucial. I'm the best thing since sliced bread. When the parents force that idea, it happens from childhood. Yes, hummingbird. I agree. In Namibia, if you're lighter, all guys want you. It's sad. It's sad. So you see what I'm saying about the vicious cycle whereby, a lot of these mental conditioning, they emanate from colonial damage. They emanate from colonial damage. It's absolutely sad. It's heartbreaking, but it's a harsh reality. Like I was saying, a lot of these Nollywood actresses and actors, you see them selling bleaching creams, literally, aggressively pushing the narrative of the colonial masters, or their colonial masters. When you're in a society, if you see a young girl, a teenager coming up in an African society where they look to their right, it's bleaching. They look to their left, it's bleaching. It's even worse if they come from a household where mommy is bleaching. It's game over. And then when mom gives them the bleaching cream and they start toning up, they start, looking brighter and stuff, they are already conditioned. And if you have a sibling who wouldn't use the cream, they would treat them less favorably. Does that make sense? There are actually loads of men out there that actually love and desire women that use bleaching creams. It's devastating. Ugh, it's disgusting. There is nothing in this life that can attract me to a woman that bleaches. People talk more about my skin color in Nigeria than here in Canada. I'm the darkest out of my sister and I love it. Of course, in Bali. Some of these parents who favor the child who is a kleptomaniac would quietly pray the child becomes a politician so he or she can steal public funds. Of course, as long as they get paid, man. Oh, don't forget the awful smell from the bleach. Of course, they stink, man. They stink. My own mother used to call me ugly because I was dark. Wow. I'm sorry to hear that, Jules, man. Wow. Imagine your own mother calling you ugly because you're dark-skinned. Just imagine. That can destroy the life, the emotion, the mind, the brains of that child for the rest of. I've seen, she used to say my sister was fair, which isn't true. My mother bleached and always made it sound like my sister has a coloring, so she would give her bleaching skin. That's just ridiculous. I've seen some kids in this UK, and it's so obvious that parents have bleached the child's skin. Of course, yeah, they do so. Dark-skinned women are so beautiful. Yeah, black and proud. We're black folks. We come in different shades of our blackness. Embrace your blackness. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. Even if you're darker than me, right? Embrace your blackness. Don't do anything to damage it, man. Phrankleen, I'm everything you've just mentioned. I thought I was ugly for years. No, you're not. No, you're not. That's why I talked about self-love. But you know what's funny? Let me just say this. The truth is, some of these parents themselves, they don't know any better. I'm not talking about the ones stealing your money. I'm talking about colorism and stuff. A lot of them were raised that way. They grew up in those toxicity. And like I always say, you're a product of your own environment. They don't know any better. They don't know any better. So they carry on with that very toxic legacy. I know a parent who lightens her son's skin and her knuckles are dark. She's a physical representation of the damage within. Imagine. Yeah. I know a childhood friend who their mom's skin is so damaged from bleaching that if you come close to her, if you're in a close proximity, her skin, especially her back and the top part of her cleavage here, it looks like the skin of an elephant. I'm sorry, man. It's dreadful. She's been bleaching for donkey years. So she's like in her 60s now, and we're wearing on job eye. And she has this disgusting odor. You know, it looks like a leather handbag made out of alligator skin. You know, those wrinkles, and it's just dreadful. And she has a very terrible body odor. I remember the last time I was in close proximity with a said woman, struggling to breathe. I don't care if I'm not naming any friend. If a friend whose mom bleaches watches this, tough. But I didn't name anybody. Because I remember when we were younger, I've known the woman for years, and she's always bleached. She's always. So now the skin is severely damaged, the bags under the eyes, the cheekbones are burnt, and then they apply layers and layers of makeup to try to conceal. The skin is utterly destroyed. The back of her feet, dreadful. It's years of skin, abuse and stuff, man. Some children are favored for good behavior, responsible character. Also, always not about skin. Of course. Saminat, thank you. Thank you for the super chat. If you're the only light skin and the siblings are all dark skin, the light skin also faces a lot of nastiness. Oh, well. What about the damage to the organs? You're right. Do favorite children feel guilty eventually? Well, maybe some of them do, but most of them, especially when they have the backings of, those nonsensical parents, they don't. They enjoy it. My stepmother is so toxic. She says Asian children are smart. However, she competes with me instead of letting me study. Wow, that's crazy. And that is how people get skin cancer. Yep, that's another way. Those children that enjoy favoritism, they don't feel guilty. They don't. Because they're most of the time, their mindset is completely destroyed. So their analysis of view of what is right has already been wrongly shapen by your parents or their parents. So what do you think? They're the beneficiaries of the terrible behavior. So a child who is used to mommy taking from the sibling or giving them more, they enjoy, a child is sat in Nigeria, a grown adult, not doing anything substantive with their life, and they watch their mom siphon funds from their sibling who is in America working in the cold or in the UK, and they are enjoying it. Mom takes from you, gives your sibling, and then they're driving a nice car. Mom steals your own money, and then, they're building a house for them and stuff. You think that child, very rarely, very, very rarely will you see such child say enough is enough to their parents. They wouldn't say it. They wouldn't say that. Why would they feel guilty? They feel entitled to it by the parents. Plus, they wouldn't say no to collecting money, of course. My mom never come under my skin, but she said I wasn't attractive because I don't have a thin nose. It's hard when you're judged on your appearance. That's dreadful. Let's engage at least 50%. Hey, 278 people, nearly 300 watching right now. I know it's a bit late. Smash the like button, please. Let me see some of the comments. Can't even blame the children for basking in their privilege of favoritism. It's sad because they are victims who are ill-prepared for the hard realities of the world. Absolutely. Most of the children who benefit from favoritism, let's see. Most of the children who benefit from favoritism can't do anything for themselves. Thank you, CSP. They can't feel guilty unless they want to suffer themselves just to be morally good. Of course, you're absolutely right. Epsibar, thank you for the super chat. Yep. Yeah, if you notice, they're usually bombs. They can't think outside the box. They can't build businesses by themselves. Some of them can't even look after themselves properly. They can't sustain a marriage. They can't raise their children properly, be good dads and good moms because they are bombs. They are, in a way, in a sense, whilst you're looking at them as beneficiaries of all these things from the so-called parents, the parents are also destroying them. When it comes to facing life, they are not designed to weather the storm. They know they always run back. Mommy, daddy, they can't. They blame everybody for their own failings. Parents can be very judgmental when it comes to looks, of course. Bro, my younger sister is the favorite. She's the one that went to med school. Whenever I want to do something, mom would go and get my younger one's opinion first. Stop discussing my moves with mom. That's the best thing. It's one of the most patronizing things. Do you understand? You'll be surprised, even if it comes to cooking a pot of rice. Your mom might just jokingly just say, your brother cooks better rice. Your younger brother, you better let him, those type of things. Oh, yeah, he's a better driver. Oh, this. Oh, this. Yeah. And like I said, those parents, they enjoy that manipulation to cater, for their selfish interest. They won't let go. They will have that favorite child. They do that. They like the division. They know that it's very evil. It's toxic. As someone who is half, and do you know what's funny? For some of these parents, further down in life, you see that favorite child, when they start to have brittle bones, arthritis starts to kick in, old age starts to deal with them. Most of the time, the children that they maltreated are the ones that end up looking after them. Because the favorite child, remember, has already been destroyed with regards to the core values of life. So the favorite child will jump ship. They will make excuses whilst they can't be there, whilst mom is elderly and pissing on herself now. And the children that they push to the curb will be the one now wiping their wrinkly butts in the old age. It happens a lot. My mom would brag with my sister to the rest of us. You would think she wasn't our mother. Why does everything have to be about looks? I've noticed we are treated based on our appearances. Again, these are all the toxic societal, deeply rooted societal templates that have passed across many generations. Some of these, our so-called parents, they are products of these evil, toxic, and vicious cycles themselves. And I will always say it, you're a product of your environment. You cannot give what you don't have. Do you understand? You can't. I digress. Take religiosity, for example. If people have done a particular thing for the best part of their adult life, they grew up, this was beaten into you, this was forced down your lungs, you were wired that way. So, most of the time people don't know any better, except something changes along the line as you go through life. So, your parents, they don't know any better. That's just the only way they know, right? So when you go off tangent and you say, Mom, Dad, I no longer want to do this. I don't want to exist in that conventional box. And you dare to think outside the box. They don't like it. They don't like it. We're all products of this type of thinking. We buy products based on women and men that are considered to be beautiful or handsome. Advertisement is done based on looks. Good point, Akitude. Most times, last bonds are spoiled also by all the fun. They don't want to change. The parents mistake being around them for caring for them. The ways available children become favorite, and the favorite children are usually always around. Yeah. They don't know any better. When you tell them they do wrong, they should listen. Sadly, for some weird reason, we're told to accept everything our parents say as right. It's just absurd. Muddy water. You see that statement? That's opening can of worms. In the African community, with most African parents, especially for those that maybe you've grown up in the West or you live in the West, when you indulge in critical thinking, which is not really embraced in our community, doesn't mean we're a bunch of stupid people, but it's the societal conditioning. Critical thinking within the African community makes you come across as you're being rude, you're being disrespectful. So when you challenge your parents' thought process, when you don't accept their narratives, they're quick to label you as being rude, more linear, you're arrogant, you're disrespectful. Name all the negative adjectives in the book. They will label you as some of them. If you go back home and then you sit with them and you say, "Oh, Dad, no, I disagree with this," and they might have limited vocabulary in terms, or they might be crippled in terms of disseminating the right rebuttal to what you're saying. They would quickly say, "Oh, it's because you live abroad. Oh, you're now westernized." You hear that all the time. It's absolute nonsense. I moved out of London because I didn't want to be around that toxic environment. Oh, hummingbird. Thanks for the therapy. Both my parents are so toxic. By God's grace, I moved out and blocked my parents. Well, wow. Look, man, it's always heartbreaking when I read stuff like this, but I'll be honest. The premise of this is not to ask you to discard your parents, but if you have cogent evidence that your parents are in fact, or a particular parent is in fact toxic, they are vindictive, they are narcissistic, the best thing you can do for yourself is distance them. At least keep them at arm's length. Keep your business away from them. Most of the time, and I understand, because of your love for them, because you can't get your head around it. Like, oh, this is my mom. Like, bro, this is my mom, man. Like, you feel compelled to keep on trying. You find yourself desperately trying to impress them, and you're doing yourself a major disservice. They have an already made up mindset Do you understand me? You're not going to change them. They're not going to change that mindset. They are rigid. They are very vindictive. Just leave them be. I see this happen to a lot of people when you desperately want to, you're looking for validation or acceptance, you're trying to please them. You end up hurting yourself. Don't do that, man. Just leave them be. Some of you will actually do well if you keep them at arm's length. If you realize that your parents have got favorites and all that, instead of getting involved in that emotional, turmoil and cycle and fighting, just protect your sanity, man. Protect your mental well-being. Particularly protect your resources. Don't put your money in their hands. The moment you can see your mom's behavioral pattern or your dad, oh, your dad has a favorite, great, and you are letting them have access to your finances. What do you think will happen? Setting yourself up for failure. Gender favoritism now favored girls over boys in the millennial times. I think it was the other way around, old times in Africa. As the saying goes, disappoint your parents early. You also have the nonsense of boys being favored over girls. I have a son and once told I was lucky because there's no peer pressure to have a boy. Yeah, I like that in Bali. These gender favoritism, right? Oh, that one is it's huge. You hear this. It's parents practice sexism. It's deeply rooted in our society, where they will say they're having discussions within the family, and you are silenced. You are asked to step out of the room just because you're a female. So it starts up early, where your mom and dad, they would do things where just because you're a female, they will sidestep you, and they think, because the boys, your siblings who are men, have to be at the forefront of affairs. Oh, because you hear stuff like, I want lolioko, like your dad believes because you're going to go marry someone else as a woman, you're not going to carry on with his surname. He sees you as less favorable. These are some of the biases and toxicity that we need to do away with. So it's the same way. Part of the problem as well is why girls are raised to clean the homes and clean the toilet and do the cooking, and boys are raised to relax their balls on the couch, because again, it goes back to societal condition and toxic culture of they are actually grooming you for because you're going to, I digress a bit in that regard, because you're going to get married, so they think they have to prepare you for knowing how to execute those house chores whilst the boys don't. All they are trained to do is get your food and drop the plates in the sink, right? My sister-in-law calls me to eldest, this is ugly, doesn't do it to her younger. I try to tell. We have more daddy's girls amongst affluent families. Raising a black son in the UK is a scary task. Once he turns 12, society sees him as a man. Especially if that child has been raised by a single mom. It's always challenging. Lord, even though you're an educated female, they give a higher role and better jobs to those who could completely disconnect themselves from their culture. A lot of last bonds are silenced, though. This one we don't want to talk about when we grow up. Not talking to their siblings, but talking to strangers, and you complain again, lacking communication skills. Phrankleen, but boys are raised to be providers and protectors. We can't bash the culture completely. No. This is not about bashing the culture completely. This is trying to undo, unlearn, do away with toxic culture, if that makes sense. Franklin, the colonial system is called Evolu. I hope I pronounced that properly. The colonizers awarded people based on their ability to copy Europe. These included being able to sound and look like them. I agree. Probably links to the issue we're now having with the North feeling like they can rule Nigeria best because the British delegated power to them post-independence. Absolutely. Absolutely. Nigeria is a company owned by Britain, and the people that run it are the Northerners. So when Britain was going to take back seat and fool us like they gave us independence, they gave control to the weakest group, the ones that they can keep a leash on, the ones that they can manipulate. They realized they couldn't control the Yoruba people, they can't control the Igbo people because they are regarded as stubborn. So the settings from way back, they brought in the Northerners, and then they brought them in. They forced the union and then created the boundaries as you know it. Do you see what I'm saying? So the Northerners are the British people. They are the British people's yes men. Somebody said, this is off topic, get some rest, brother. No, I don't know why you keep thinking there's something wrong. Why? I actually just woke up to do my live stream. I was sleeping, enjoying a good sleep for a good couple of hours here. I got up to do my live stream. I was sleeping. Why do you think there's something wrong with me? Why? I was sleeping. That's why I started my live stream a bit late. Maybe that's why. Maybe my eyes look a bit swollen, you know. My eyes look a bit swollen, maybe. I was sleeping. Yeah. So yeah, that's the story on today's topic. They gave power to the Fulani people because they knew they were not indigenous to the Nigeria Union. Of course, it's it was. Are you agree with the theory that Boko Haram is a product of the West? Boko Haram is a product of the West. The executors of Boko Haram, or all the unrest that we know, they are funded by the West. They're controlled by the West. Of course. It's all control mechanism. Unrest, division, damage, all sorts. It's all pre-planned. It's all intended that way. Do you understand? Hello, everyone. Chemtree David. Hello. Can you recommend counseling? What type of counseling? It's easier internet or internet. It is something blurry so you look weird. It's sometimes blurry so you look... Well, if the internet is blurry, that's not Franklin's doing, is it? Are you in support of Biafra and Oduduwa Nation? I'm in support of Oduduwa Nation. And I'm in support. I understand the premise of the Biafran agitation. My own very simple concern is, you see, there's a difference between having a desire for a particular outcome. My concern is execution, because we are severely infiltrated. There's a lot of sellouts, liars, cheats, charlatans that have been paid, corrupt people. Everyone is banging on about, oh, do our nation. Hey. But let's talk first of all about integrity. The pathway of integrity is very narrow. The problem is execution. Everyone is banging on about it. I'm thoroughly aware of the desired, objectives, but it's the execution of the said objectives There are so many corrupt people. We've been severely infiltrated. People have a bent mindset. The same people that are shouting Oduduwa Nation, give them a bag load of dollars. They will sell you out. They will get a list of all the people clamoring for the same Oduduwa Nation, and they will point you to their so-called masters. You know, that's the problem that we have, the long and short of it. The problem is not regarding the idea and say Biafra. I mean, if you're well versed, if you read up on history, I am in full alliance with the idea, the premise of Biafra. Even amongst, Biafrans, people clamoring for Biafra and all that, they are rotten people, sellouts. It's one thing to say Oduduwa Nation, right? Great. Who are going to be the leaders of Oduduwa Nation? Who are going to be the leaders? Do you see what I'm saying? The idea of Oduduwa Nation is brilliant. I understand it thoroughly. The problem is execution. So look at your local obas, look at the local leaders, the chiefs. They are rotten to the core. They are corrupt. They are bent. So this is why I'm talking about execution. I want Wolofe leading. Let's just cut the chase. Let's not get caught up in the long round. I'm hitting the point here. It's about execution. You don't understand how deeply rooted the corruption is. There are, within the said Oduduwa Nation, the so-called frontliners, virtually all of them are on the payroll of the colonial masters. They are rotten to the core. We have countless number of gatekeepers that are working for the colonizers. Just imagine Oduduwa Nations led by the Oni of Ife, married to a Christian prophetess who was singing Ishitik Bufo. I mean, these people are twisted, man. You understand? So this is why, of course, my channel is not a political channel, as you know. But, I'm thoroughly aware of all these things. People get caught up in, these senator, President Buhari, the vice president. Look, man, let's laser target our focus. Frankly, what do you think about Oduduwa Nation? And it's a brilliant idea. The core of the problem is execution. How do you execute it? All of these leaders, all of they are rotten to the core, man. 80% of Nigeria's resources go to the north. Imagine if that stayed in the south. Of course, it's intended that way. You understand? The bulk of Nigeria's natural resources are being stolen, pillaged, funneled through backdoor channels on a daily basis to Western countries. Do you understand? So the corrupt leaders, they take their cut by ensuring that people remain disenfranchised, that the loots are going through those funnels to their handlers, their colonial masters. So that's why you would realize, there's a system where there are plenty of small business owners. A lot of people run business in Nigeria. The government is not exactly taxing all of them. They don't really need that tax. You don't get it. That's why they don't really embrace having a sophisticated database. It's not their priority. Look at the Republic of Congo. Look at the amount of natural resources that go out of Congo. Now, juxtapose that with the level of poverty in Congo. Republic of Congo, she's one of the richest African countries in the world, right? Or let me say in the African continent. They have a staggering level of poverty. It's intentional. Do you understand? Because why? The natural resources of Congo, young children, you know, digging for gold or just diamonds and stuff like that. It's been, of course, Congo is the sixth mineral richest countries in the world. Of course, it's being siphoned through the back door to cater to the West. The Congolese children, the Congolese nationals are beaten to the ground intentionally. Intentionally being the objective word. It's the same thing in Nigeria. So the Congolese leaders and politicians, they are Western puppets. So the average citizen in Congo is powerless. Do you understand what I'm saying? All these things are wishful thinking, penetrated every. For those of you that can undo, reset your mindset, you bloody well can you? You don't have to be westernized. Your children don't have to be westernized. That's why one step at a time, one person at a time, detach yourself from the conventional template of existence. You understand? Of course, we are severely, I agree with you that Africa is severely infiltrated by Western influence. That's mostly toxic. But you can undo these things one step at a time. One step. It's impossible to not be westernized. Listen, I understand. You one day? Because virtually all the facets of our lives, from childhood, generations before you and I were even thought of, there's a global template that was imposed by the West on how your classic cartoons, your favorite movies, music, and all that. They've infiltrated our educational curriculums and stuff. The way people talk. An average Nigerian that's never stepped on the plane wants to sound like an American. There's something wrong. An average Nigerian that has never stepped a foot on an airplane, talk less of traveling abroad, you know, wants to dress like Tupac, wants to mimic Ebonics. There's nothing wrong with Ebonics, right? It emanates, belongs to our African American brothers and sisters. But what I'm telling you is all of this conditioning, it's all Western influence, TV, movies, the mainstream media, and all that. But having said that, the biggest weapon that we have as individuals now is your mind. We want to man, get out of here, man. Shit. Your biggest weapon is your mind. And if you don't have a full control of your mind to flush out things that are meant to be in your mind, to unlearn and relearn, you've got nothing else going for you. Think about it. The best gift you've got, the biggest weapon you've got is your mind. If your mind remains impenetrable, then you are solid. Do you understand? Your mind is the biggest weapon. I understand we are severely infiltrated. That's why I acknowledge it. Your mind is the biggest weapon. And we have to constantly work on our minds on a daily basis. If you got young children, you realize children are like sponges. It's what you put in the minds of the children that will get them ready for the toxic world out there. Know thyself. If you know who you are, if you know the true story of your blackness, You can't be westernized, mind-wise. Do you get what I'm saying? Your mind is the biggest weapon. It's so hard to have a strong mind. No, it's not. One step at a time. One step at a time. I always say it, do not sell out. But of course, it's like I always say, the pathway of integrity is very narrow. The people that look like you and I, your own kind, are the first that will call you crazy, that will call you mad, that will call you all sorts of names. Because this is going back to what we're talking about. The moment you choose to be different, you are unconventional in your thought process. Oh, they will call you crazy. They will call you barking mad. They will call you retarded. They will call you aggressive and intimidating. They will call you pompous. They will call you cocky. They will call you all sorts of names. Even your own immediate family will go against you, will fight you. No disrespect to anyone. If you're still finding justification for colonial religions, you're yet to start. Trust me, your mind is the greatest weapon. Your mind is the greatest weapon. It connects to your integrity. That's why if you fraternize with anybody, any group, the first and most important thing they do is to strip you of your integrity. It's a must. Is to basically deactivate who you are as an individual and tell you this is the order of things now, our way. This is the template of doing things and going forward. The moment you control a man's mind, it's a game over. The biggest hinge is our alliance with a foreign design global economy. A demarcation must be drawn and truncation to take Africa back. Taking Africa back, the first thing, change the curriculum of our children. Change the educational system. You need to purge. We need a purge. Change. And I'm talking from the Africa, point of view now. You need to purge the whole system. We live in a world where the order of things is dictated by white folks. You are told this is what you must study in school. This is how. A lot of the stories that you learn from school, so-called history, they are rooted in lies, deception, misdirection. It's intentionally designed that way. Most don't know who Jim Crow was and what he taught, which was how to break the mind to force the body to follow. Yep, most black folks don't even know Jim Crow. No. Ask the average black man or woman on the road in Nigeria, ask them about slavery, what they know, the true history, what happened to their ancestors, this and this. They don't know. We need to do what China did, absolutely. Deprogram yourself from the Western mindset is a good starting point. Believe me, it's not just a starting point, right? It's this rock solid foundation that everything else will sit upon. And they know this too well. The world is messed up in many ways and only the strongest survives. And you know what? Thank you for that, Muddy Waters. You know what's funny? Most people are not prepared. I always say this. Most black folks are not ready. People want the easy way out. The easy way out is you have to be a yes man. You have to be a conformist to colonial structure. Most black people are, they are internally, they are secretly smart. They know that, oh, we are subject to ill treatment, blah, 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 blah. They're not prepared to stand up, to say no. Fear of reprisal. Oh, because of my paycheck. Oh, I can't. I better join them. Look, man, as long as I'm okay, I need a roof over my head, man. We'll find those justifications. So our people carry on working as gatekeepers. We gatekeep amongst ourselves. House Negroes, man. There's abundance of them within the black community. Africa's biggest problem is its wicked, corrupt politicians. Also remember that our African brothers sold us the white man. Nobody wanted to talk about that. People talk about it. When I said we are homeschooling my children, people thought I was crazy. Yeah. What did I say earlier? Your own kind. You see, let me, because I got to drop the shutters on this. Let me tell you this, yeah? A lot of black folks are not ready. The pathway of integrity. When you think the way I think, and that's not a patronizing comment to anyone, you're going to have limited friends. Oh, you're going to have a lot of enemies. Oh, you will. Oh, you will. Amongst your own kind, people that look like you. People that look like you. Yeah. Yeah. The moment you think outside the box, the moment you're a nonconformist, even if you're a very quiet person by nature, people are going to come after you. They will discredit you. Oh, they will tell you you're mentally unstable. They will call you crazy. If you dare to stand up against injustice, you challenge the conventional thought process. There are so many people out there, yeah? They talk the talk. Oh, these Al-Kabulan. Oh, we have to go back and take over Al-Kabulan. Oh, yeah, we have to take over Al-Kabulan. They are charlatans. We have to go back to, Asian Kemet. We have to go buy lands in our motherland. We have to move back to Al-Kabulan. Come home to yourself, black people. Come home to yourself. They are charlatans. They are gatekeepers who cater to their own selfish interest. Whilst some black people will catch on to them and, oh yeah, I like the sound of this brother. They would take advantage of you in the process to line their own selfish pockets. Some of them are even secretly working for the oppressors. That's why you have to know thyself. You have to emancipate yourself. Genuine question here. Why does the curriculum in Nigeria need to talk about Jim Crow laws? We haven't even started teaching them about Biafra. No. I'm not saying the curriculum must talk about Jim Crow laws. But yes, of course, we need to dissect Biafra and prioritize, local knowledge and all that. But also, of course, in the wider context of things, what's wrong about knowing, Jim Crow laws? Do you see what I'm saying? If all of that is incorporated in the wider context of teaching, know about it. But I'm not saying maybe because if a child grows in Nigeria, of course, teach them about the Oduduwa land history. Teach them about the Biafran struggle. Of course, prioritize those things in the wider context of learning and educating them, about being black and the black struggle and stuff. They should know about the Jim Crow laws too. They can read, books and all sorts. So many things to sound nice for praise. However, they're self-interested. Yeah. So many say things to sound nice for praise. However, they are self-interested. Hummingbird. Thank you. One of the worst things that happen within the black community are those, there's like, it's cool right now. There was a movement. There is a movement of people that say, oh yeah, Al-Kabulan, let's move back. I mean, I talk about moving back, but there are charlatans in our midst. They're talking about move back to Al-Kabulan, come and buy lands in Al-Kabulan. These people, right? There are people that will go on their platforms. They're rotten idiots. They'll tell you about how the white man has done X, Y, Z, but they are actually there catering to their selfish interests. They've gone underground to copy the template of the invaders' religion. So right now it's cool. There's this woke movement. You know, most people have had enough of all the suffering in the West and stuff. There are people amongst us that look like you and I that take advantage. Like our African American brothers and sisters, they're migrating to Gambia. The YouTube is littered with videos of people taking monetary advantage, violating them, conspiring, stealing their brothers and sisters' money, and doing also. How are you any different from the colonial masters? The worst thing is your own kind. You know what I'm saying? It's very, 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 very important that, you know, you educate your mind, yourself, your mind, emancipate yourself, man, from mental slavery. There's so many charlatans within the black community. Whoa! There is power outage. Goodness gracious. Can you still hear me? Well, I am going to have to drop the shutter on this one. Yeah, the light might come on in a moment, but hey. So hold on, man. Anyways, let's drop the shutter on this one. Hopefully we continue on that in the next episode. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the last part of the show went in that direction. I enjoy it. It's raining heavily where I am, so I think that affected that. But it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Don't know if you can you still hear me? Oh, beware of these so-called teachers of spirituality. You are absolutely right, man. Phrankleen, use touchlight. Anyways, yeah. I will most definitely catch you in the very next one. I appreciate you. It's been a pleasure. And I'll catch you. Your teeth is white, Frank. Can you see my teeth? I'm moving closer to the thing. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I'll catch you in the very next one. Do have a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening where you are. Peace and love, man. Bye-bye now.